following podcast contains language that may be inappropriate for younger listeners and covers topics that could be controversial or offensive to some. If you're the former, I'm sorry. If you're the latter, I'm sorry for you. Rated M for mature.
My man Sean, how are you?
What up? What up? What up? I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So we're back together a week delayed. Last week life got in the way.
Life be lifing, brother.
But
Life be lifing. I've learned that from the young kids. Life be lifing.
uh,
So gotta accept it.
I mean it's better than the alternative, right? The life don't be lifing.
Yeah, and therefore you wouldn't be here to experience life. So I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, makes sense. Definitely makes sense. I done got a hold of that bubble paper, man. So if you hear these little things popping, that's because I'm sitting here playing with the bubble paper, the little that stuff. I
Spent
don't know what it is, man. No matter what age, that stuff is always fascinating to you.
that's what I said. We
Little
spent
bubble.
three episodes talking about being old. You over there playing with bubble wrap like a 2 year old.
Yeah, bubble wrap, man. It's always still it's stress relieving. It's popping bubbles. I don't know.
The original
Ah
fidget
well.
toy.
Yeah, yeah. It is what it is. But I'm back down here in my Florida spot, man, down here chilling. Out here, as you would say, living the dream. The dream is everybody's okay in a hurricane. Milton came out here and tore some stuff up, but not in this area where I'm at. But I heard that Tampa Bay, the bay was dry. I heard he took all the water out of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they a reverse storm surge that they say
Yeah,
is pretty rare.
yeah. Snatched the water out of Tampa Bay. I'm like, oh wow. But for the most part, my people down here are okay. My family that I have in the area are okay. So that's a beautiful thing and a blessing. And for the people that weren't too badly affected, we're thankful for that. But then there are some people that were heavily hit, and we're hoping that we can take care of those and help out whoever needs help and make sure that things get better. Hurricane season is a very, very rough time of year in certain parts of the United States.
Yeah, most
So
definitely. And to have two pretty big storms in a relatively close period of time back to back doesn't help matters any.
yeah, hurricane season, brother. Always, I used to do hurricane season over there and a little bit further up north in VA, out there in that area. And it wasn't too bad. I think the worst one they had was what, Irene back in '03. I'm
Yeah,
thinking that was like the worst one. Wasn't that the name of it?
So
It might not have been Irene.
Irene pushed water in through the bay and up the rivers, so it impacted inland much more and going up toward like Northern Virginia area because of the fact that it decided the way the storm track went that it was just going to feed water upstream instead of coastally.
Yeah, yeah, that joint had people standing on the interstate like they was in Katrina. Katrina hadn't even happened at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bad one. So yeah, that hurricane season is a pretty bad time. But thankful again that I was able to get out here to Florida, check on my folks, and everybody's doing all right. So it's good to
All,
go.
always
Good to
good to
go.
hear. You never, the what I think what was total death toll on Milton early, like three for as powerful of a storm as it
Yeah,
was. Really, not a whole lot of impact as far as loss of human life, which is always a good thing. I mean,
right,
property
right.
damage, property losses is pretty traumatic to deal with and can be expensive, but human loss definitely a bigger issue.
Right. Category 3 with 120-mile-per-hour winds. That's still a forceful situation. So
Yep.
people talk about stuff. What is it? A category 3? It's a category 5. Hey man, it's a category dangerous. Regardless of what category it is, when you start talking about winds at that speed, it's dangerous. But I will bring you this. when you watch the Weather Channel and these people are standing outside in the rain, getting smacked by water. They look like they got on leather, but it's not. It's just wet and soaked. And they standing out there. That is not something that we do. Now I'm going to say we because I mean my side of the shade. No, man, we don't. We're not going to be standing out there in the rain. We might be in the studio pointing at a screen like, hey, man, if you look outside, but to stand in the rain and be getting smacked by waves, nah. Some people take their job way too serious.
I think that's almost become a meme at this point that you have to have them out there standing in knee deep or waist deep water and point out the obvious.
Yeah,
As you can see behind me, Sean, the
yeah,
floodwaters are rising. Yeah, it's getting
yeah,
ready to suck you out to sea.
yeah. You need to have your hands in the house. That's what I can see is you need to be home, sir, ma'am. Go home. You out there in the rain, standing in puddles of water or oceans, lakes, rivers. You out here where a street just washed away, and you're standing there with the water knee deep, talking about right behind me. It looks like it's settling down. No, dummy, you look like you about to drown. Get out of there because your cameraman has already left you. It's just a tripod and you. Cameraman told you no when you left the studio. Yeah, I'm not going out there, man. I'm good. But this hurricane season, man. So how long does hurricane season last?
I,
That's a question.
I mean, I legitimately thought it was like July or August through sometime in November, but at this point, the weather's so funky, I don't even know what the
Mm.
parameters are for hurricane season anymore. I mean, it's kind of like tornado season in Tornado Alley. That seems to just have gone completely out of whack too. There's no real rhyme or reason, and you'll have all the depending on your side of the argument, the conspiracy theory people or the scientists who tell you global climate change and we've created
Hmm.
all of this. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't. Although I guess if I had to have a job, weatherman, the only job where
Weatherman
being wrong doesn't get you fired.
in trouble. Right, right. Because weatherman tell you it's getting ready to snow Tuesday. It'd be 83 degrees. And then he just be like, oops, well, things shifted. Like, oh, really? Yeah, the wave shifted and that warm air went all the way. You're like, yeah, okay, man, stop it. Just stop trying to predict the weather.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you start talking about weather and stuff like that, man, it's like again, you mentioned down in Tornado Alley, that's like a whole different monster to deal with. Like dealing with hurricanes is something, but a tornado,
Well, I think in the grand scale of natural disasters, I'll take
okay, what we got?
I'll take hurricane over any of the others, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
hurricane is like your family that you don't really want to see. They give you notice they're coming. Tornadoes,
Hmm.
earthquakes, volcanoes, those things just
Yeah,
happen.
they just knock on your door at 2:30 in the morning. You're like, who is it? Hey, cuz. No, fuck you mean, hey, cuz. I'm going back to sleep. That's what you really want to do, but you gotta open the door because they there.
Yeah, I'll take
I got
the hurricane, that gives me 7 to 10 days notice that it's on its way over the
you. Right.
tornado that gives me 10 seconds of notice because my ring camera just went off that there was motion in my driveway.
A trampoline just flew by and landed in the power lines. Like that's always a good indicator of a good storm. Your trampoline, if you have a trampoline or you see a trampoline and it's in some power lines, great storm anytime a trampoline ends up where it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I didn't see any out here. That means we were good. We were pretty good because I saw no trampolines in this area.
Well, that
I'm
that
still
are
looking. I'm gonna go drive around and see
that
if
are
I
they're
see.
all the way out in the Atlantic somewhere now.
Could be. It could be some boats out there for Wilson and whatever Tom Hanks' name was in that movie. I think Wilson was more popular than, than Tom Hanks
It's
in that movie,
that's
the
it.
volleyball.
the the volleyball's character name is more well known than Tom Hanks's character in Castaway.
Absolutely. We'll call Tom Hanks, and call the volleyball Wilson. So yeah, Wilson was definitely a staple of Castaway. Definitely. So we out here. Are we getting right into it? Or, because
Well,
last time
so
we ended with
so yeah, I gave you kind of the heads up that I wanted to get into it in this
Mhm, mhm.
episode. So
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
start with giving you the ability
Mm.
to provide context slash
Okay.
uh
Okay.
I don't want to I'm going to say explain, but I don't think that conveys what you're going to do. But
Yeah.
your comment of blanks come in all colors, whereas
Niggas.
I
Niggas.
again,
Niggas come
you
in all colors.
you get to do it. I don't get to do it.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Facts. Facts. It's understandable. And hopefully, we'll get to a place now where we can understand the why. We can definitely try to get to a place of understanding the why. Because there's some people now, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, we are referencing the word nigga, the N-word, the slander, the whatever you want to call it. We're referencing that word. Now there are two forms of this word. There are two different ways to spell this word. Now, even though there are two different ways to spell this word, they can always provide the same meaning because they're always just going to be said. But there are two different ways to spell it. One way to spell it is Nigger. The Nigger was used as a derogatory. It was used to try to de-characterize people, to try to make people feel lower than, try to make us black people. Let's go ahead and call it what it is, not just people, black people. The word was used to try to make us just feel bad, to try to make us less than who we are, for one. Not even, I don't give a damn about being less than somebody else because everybody is equal. But, to try to make us feel less than someone else, this word was created and put upon us as like the scarlet letter almost, just something to try to put a stamp on us to make it so that you can go out in the streets and you call them that and they better answer or they better learn or they're going to know that you're not addressing them as one of us. They are less than us. Um, so it was created in order to try to basically hurt our feelings, to try to make us feel like we're less than. Now, my people, being the people that we are, because we take stuff and anything you try to throw at us, we turn it around. You threw us a pig, we got pig feet, we got chitlins, we got whatever you want to eat off of the pig. We said, we're going to make it taste good. You're not going to give us scraps and think that we're not going to be able to survive. We can survive off of scraps. But this word just seemed to never go anywhere. It's always hung around and it's always been used. Now, what happened was, as we have people that have always tried to use the word in order to be, hurtful, just to be in bad character, we took the word and embraced it, changed the spelling to Nigga, and, it's more so of a rights of who we are. Like, okay, you want to call us this? I bet we're gonna continue to call ourselves that, but it doesn't have the same meaning that the original word has. It's like we're calling ourselves because, okay, that's my. Now I could throw a whole bunch of curse words out to try to help people understand, but that's the same as saying, that's my boy, that's my brother, that's my cousin, that's my whatever you want to call them. That's mine to me, right? That's my nigga. Bottom that. Dave is my nigga. He's my white nigga, but he's my nigga. It don't matter if somebody be like, yo, you know Dave? I'm like, yeah, that's my nigga. Dave can't say that shit. Why? Because unfortunately, your ancestors, let's not say your ancestors, not let me not tie it so closely to you. People that knew your ancestors, people that knew your ancestors created the word and just again to to basically to categorize us as less than. And when they did that, it became a way of attacking. So when certain people get mad out there, that's one of the first things they want to say out of their mouth. Yeah, you go home, nigger. Hey man, you about to get fucked up. That's how we feel. That's what we say. The same way you got mad and said, go home, nigger. We're saying, hey, you about to get fucked up. Now, we both mean what we're saying. It's now time to stand 10 toes down on it and be about business. So when we use the word, again, we're embracing each other. We're calling each other this word out of love and respect. That's my nigga. Dave is my nigga right there. I'm not saying Dave is a nigger. Now, here we go with the why I always say niggers come in all colors. The word nigger, the meaning behind the word nigger, ignorant, correct? That's what it's always been known as out the gate. Ignorant. Anybody can be ignorant. Anyone can be ignorant. So there can be white ignorance, black ignorance, yellow ignorance, beige ignorance, because we're calling colors right now. Pale ignorance. There's all types of colors out there in the spectrum. Um, Niggas come in all colors, shapes, sizes, and ethnicities. There are Mexican niggas. There are German niggas. There are Italian niggas. President Trump is a nigga. Why? Because President Trump did all types of nigga shit while he was in office. Get all his friends out of jail because he's the president. That's some shit you would have expected Obama to do. Or because of the word, that's what you would have expected President Obama to do. He did not do that. Trump did it. Nigga shit. Trump comes out and calls anybody whatever he wants to call them, makes up all types of lies, tell people that they're immigrants eating animals in other states. Ignorance. Nigga shit. President Trump would be considered a nigger. I would never say President Trump is my nigga because I don't rock with him like that. So I wouldn't give him that embracing word, that characterization of you are cool with me. That's how we have taken the word and started using the word. It means you are cool with me. You are somebody that I have a good rapport with. When you come out and you say the word to try to disgrace me, to try to belittle me, then you are not trying to show a good rapport. You are being hateful. So the reason that people can't say it is because one, the word was never created to embrace, it was always created to disrespect and be hateful. Unfortunately, to the people that created the word, we took the word and embraced it. You don't get to try to flip it now because it was started by people that knew your ancestors. It was started by them to try to disgrace us. And now you want to use it to try to be down, it's like saying brother when you don't really mean brother. It's like don't do that. So that's why it has that that thin line where some people get to cross that line, some people don't. In my eyes, nobody that's not black, gets to cross that line with me. Not black, not Mexican. You got to be a person of color, somebody that has been in the position that my people are in order for you to just be able to say the word and then not cause a reaction in my mind. I'm not saying I'm going to reach out and touch you. I'm saying in my mind, I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna look at you and be like, "What's up?" I grew up in a white neighborhood in New York, and there was a lot of Greek people out there. There's a lot of Greek niggas, but when they used to walk up and because they were so cool with a lot of us, they used to "Oh, what's up, nigga?" Nah, not with this one. I can't get down with that. Like, if you calling your boy, your other boy, another Greek dude, your nigga, cool. But you don't get to call me that because we don't have that type of relationship.
So you're actually moving into the second piece of the whole topic that I wanted to touch on. Um,
Hmm.
so I want to back up for a second and tie a bow on the N word ER, come in
Hmm.
all colors. The That word, right? Its origins, as you pointed out, ignorant. And as
Hmm.
is the case with a lot of words in I would assume, not just the English language, but language in general,
Hmm.
its meaning changes over time based on its usage, right? Gay at one point meant happy. It is now a sexuality. Um, the word fag here versus the word fag in England. At one point, it was in England, it was slang for a cigarette. I do not know if it
Hmm.
is still used in that way now, based on kind of the universal approach to being very cognizant of homophobia and slurs toward gay people. But that word's the N word's origin, ignorant, became used as a slur directed at black people because of its meaning of ignorant, right? To your point, it was meant directed at your people to be hurtful. And what you're
Hmm.
saying is just the context behind the ER comes in all colors. Everybody can be ignorant, and you have cited any number of examples. So I just want to make sure that we kind of wrap that section up, because the bigger discussion is what you're touching on now, A versus R. And
Hmm.
you've made your position very eloquently clear on that, that only people of color who have suffered should be able to use that word, the A, right? So my position that I am going to assert to you, ER, nobody should use. Should die in the vernacular, right? I think regardless of what its origins are, it it is so associated with hate that the word needs to just go away. A, because of all of the uses that you laid out in a, we're going to take away the power, the hurt of the ER, and we're going to adopt and adapt the A. So I'll draw the comparison. The A is your people's version of white man's dude, right? That we use dude for Sean is my dude, but it could also be that dude, right? I don't know about that dude. Um, the A has become part of pop culture because of its use in media, right? Rap music, because it has been such a focus and you, anytime that you think I'm wrong in the way I'm perceiving it, feel free to step in and cut me off. But that that effort to take the power away from the word and reshape it in the image you wanted it to have, it it's permeated into all aspects of culture. And my assertion to you is, me, the white guy at 50, A or ER, no version of the N word should ever come out of my mouth. However, my son at 20 something grew up in a world that his perception of that word is more closely associated with A than it is ER, and it
Facts.
is a part of the culture he is a part of, right? He listens to that music. He participates in that media. He has black friends that use that terminology. I I am willing to bet, and he has never said it around me. We could bring him. I can bring him and his roommate on, and we can find out where their stand is on it. But I I assert to you that there is an age point where the use, regardless of color, is in the spirit of what your generation and the generation slightly before you tried to accomplish with, we're going to take this word and make it our own, and it, to a generation of people below us, not
Hmm.
all, because we'll touch on this. We can do it today or we can do it at another time, because I'm going to make the statement that I believe everybody is racist to a certain extent. But
Facts.
so I do think even at younger kids, there are going to be some younger generations. There are people that will lean toward the ER, but
Mhm.
I I believe there is a whole generation of people that would use that word in the context in the way that it has been established over the last 30-35 years.
Mhm.
Again, I
Yeah.
don't ever think the 50-year-old white guy should ever say it, because
But see, that's
God knows that you're going to look at me and, based on my age, never assume I'm doing A. You're always going to jump to ER, right?
right. See, and that's exactly what it is. It's like our age means that we've been dealing with this for so long and we haven't gotten to a conclusion on it. It's just still going. Now, there's some kids that's younger, like we said, in generations after us, that don't use the word at all, don't like the word. Still, still saying they don't like the word just as much as some people a little older than us don't like the word, tired of hearing the word. Our age group, our culture for that, like you said, about that last 35 years now, hip hop's been going on for over 50 years now. But as far as being able to embrace the word in a different light, yeah, about the last 35 or so. And you're right, our age group is the ones that are really having the fights over this word. Now, all the fights don't have to be physical. I'm just saying I'm using the word fights as, just the euphemism of the word. We are the ones fighting it out all the time because it's like we want it to be understood and known that we actually did something with the word. We took the word, we put it into a culture, we allowed the culture to embrace it. We put it in songs, it's all over the place. And it doesn't always describe somebody that's ignorant and not knowing and can't do and can't be. So absolutely, that's what we wanted from the word, that's what we got. But there was always that fight of we need to kill that word. We need to cancel that word. And you can't cancel something that people are not going to cancel. Like the cancel culture is trash. If it's not going to be a law, if you're not going to make it a law, a rule, you cannot say this word. It's almost like what was that, Demolition Man? And every time you curse, you get that little span, and they fine you. You have just been fined for using. It's one of those. If you're not gonna ban it in that way, in that regard, if somebody has a situation and they are arrested and there's video footage of them using that word, if it's not a charge, then you are not going to cancel that word. So the only way we could try to get the word canceled was just saying, all right, cool, we're going to use it, but certain people cannot. And that's what it always had boiled down to. It just boiled down to certain people not being able to use the word because of the intent that it had back then, came from. It's like, yeah, like you said, the 50-year-old white guy, they're not using the word. They're not thinking of the word. And if they do, it's because they're mad. They're in their house and they're talking to somebody behind closed doors and will never know that they said this word unless somebody had some footage rolling and they come back and be like, look what he said when he was mad. Or you just get mad enough to come out and say, yeah, I said it. That's the only way you can get it. But other than that, if you're in your house right now and this camera is not rolling and you mad and you say whatever you say to whoever's in your house, they're the only ones that know that you said it. And it will forever be that way. But when you bring it out into the street, you got to understand that the people that are receiving it, as well as the people that are delivering it, they got two different views on the word. And when you say it in a hateful manner, you can't just throw, you got to know how to, you have to know how to speak in the culture in order to use the word. Listening to the music does not make you a part of the culture. You have to know how to speak in that culture. And you can tell the people that when you see these different tapes and there's different, I call them tapes, but when you see these different clips, we're no longer in the tape realm. When you when you see these different clips and videos of people snapping and going off and actually using the word, you can tell that it's being said in a hateful nature, because it's directly thrown at the person or slated towards that person. Hey, you nigger. It's like you saying it to try to spark a reaction from me. And that's where the problems come in at. Is because that's why you see people get smacked in the mouth. Because you can see it on the tape or video clip that they're saying it to try to get a reaction. When you say it to try to get a reaction, you should not be shocked when the reaction you get is a dent in your forehead. You shouldn't be shocked. It's like
so
there's
so
no
that's a
reason to be shocked by it.
that that's a solid point, and I think that inadvertently you're almost supporting my position on it. That and let's shift it from the N word to the word bitch.
Okay, that's in the culture too.
Right? It is, but right, I can say that one. Um, but right, I could speak like I was in the culture and say my wife, that's my bitch right there, right?
Right, absolutely.
I can also do exactly what you were just referencing and walk up to my wife and go, "You fucking bitch,"
See, it's the fucking,
right?
it's the fucking bitch. Yes,
So
absolutely.
it's not the word; it's the delivery and the intent behind the word that changes its meaning. And and I again, I am merely presenting as this exercise in us going back and forth. Have have you won the fight that we are now at a point? And again, I don't think a 70-year-old or even a 50-year-old white guy, the the perception of the intent of a white guy my age or older would always be you're using it in that either trying to get a reaction or in its derogatory sense.
Hmm.
Are have you fought and done such a good job of putting that word into society with a more positive spin that the 20-year-old saying it, the jump isn't to you're doing it for the reaction or the negative, you're using it in the context of that's my dude or that's my bitch, not that's my fucking bitch. You see what I'm saying? That
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
can is it and really I'm trying to tie this into almost a good news kind of thing that has the good fight been fought to a point that generations behind us view that word completely differently than you or generations in front of you did.
Not yet. Hasn't happened yet because we still have older generations teaching these younger generations. So it has not yet, unfortunately, no. It's going to take some time for it to definitely get on the page that you're speaking on. Lovely page, great page. Actually, like you say, a good news page, but it's definitely going to take some time. It's going to take the time of like your kids teaching their kids. Like that's how much time it really has to go by because when you think about it, you got grandparents telling these stories. You got parents and grandparents still telling these stories based on this word. Now, watch. We're still fighting the word nigger, but we don't really talk about slavery as much. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not I'm not trying to take away from what slavery was by saying that. I'm saying it has been so long that the generations that's coming here and there are, you know, starting to just develop in the culture of we are one, we are this, we are whatever we're going to be. But not saying slavery never happened, but it's not talked about as much. And the only ones that's talking about it still are our generations and the ones that's older than us. The younger ones, but look, they're not talking about slavery. They're not. They're just not. So it's finally starting to get to a place where this breakdown that I can give you is like so ridiculous, but it's making so much sense to me. Um, but we're starting to finally get to that futuristic realm that we're starting to see with all these funny shaped cars and all of these robot maids and all of these watches with TV screens on them and whatever you want to call it, where in those types of scenes and setups you're not even caring about nobody. You don't see anything where anybody was talking about the past. They're only worried about the present. And we have to get to a place where the present means more to us than the past does. But the reason we can't do that is because there's too many people that will not hold themselves or be accountable for the things that they helped create in the past or their family members helped create in the past. They don't want to be held accountable for that. They don't want to speak on it as if it exists. So our generation and the generations before us are the only ones talking about certain things. The ones behind us, um, they're not on that same page. And it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be a lovely day when that happens. But until that day comes, again, niggas come in all colors. Nigger come in all colors. Niggas are black. Nigga, we took that. We snatched that and said, yo, let's put this in the culture. Let's love it. Let's make it what it is. Now the word bitch, I can say, hey, that bitch over there, and I could be talking about a female or a male. I be like, you was a bitch ass nigga. There's a lot of ways you can put this stuff together. I don't want to confuse nobody yet. We first day in, but there's ways that you can put all of these words together. And what makes it more impactful, again, is how you shape it, what word you put in front of it, what word you put behind it. That's what makes people get a reaction. You're telling a story and you say, hey, yeah, man, I ran into this black motherfucker the other day at the store. And you be like, all right, I'm listening. Or you can say, I ran into this fucking black guy. Now it sounds completely different. You know what I'm saying? So it's a there's a difference between, like you said, there's a difference between embracing the culture, learning the culture, being a part of the culture, and understanding how to speak in it rather than trying to get away with something by saying, but I hear you say it, or I heard that said, or I heard it said like this. But if you really knew what you were saying, you'd understand the delivery, you'd understand the context. And there's certain words that once you put them into context, it's basically the same thing as saying reading is what was the word?
Fundamental.
fundamental, but you're comprehensive. Like if you can comprehend what you're reading, or if you can comprehend what you're saying, then you understand, why my reaction is the way my reaction will be. You got to know. You can't. Everybody wants to act dumb when they say the word, and then they be like, "What?" You can't act dumb because you know what we're talking about. You know where it came from, and you know how you said it. Whoever the person might be that said it to be, you know, wrong. The person that tried to be hateful. Because I look at the word as a hateful word, but that's the ER. The A, not hateful at all. Not to me. Not to my friends, not to my family. Like, and we said, I got some family members that's older than me. I'm the youngest of my first cousins. And again, told you my oldest first cousin right now is 72 years old. Right. But that's one of them. The other one of them is cool with hearing the word. Don't care. It is what it is. The other one is like, I don't really like hearing the word. And you know that certain ones of them you tiptoe. We don't say that word around everybody because we know we have older people, grandparents, uncles, aunts, whatever, that don't want to hear that word. And it's like it's a curse word. So if you don't curse in front of your parents, if you don't curse in front of your parents, it's like, why would you go out and curse in front of somebody else's parents? That's kind of disrespectful. So if you use that word out in the street, but you don't use it in your house, you're being disrespectful. If you come outside and you try to say that word and you don't know how to use that word, you'll come off as being disrespectful. And when it leaves you with a dent in your forehead, you got to understand the dent. Like this word can get a dent put right in your forehead.
Oh, and I
Al
think
Bundy style.
so. I think that's the fuzzy gray line as it pertains to this topic, right? That
Mhm.
uh, we we're talking about using it with the proper context or how it's being perceived or received. And I do think there is still a certain segment that just says using it in general doesn't matter if you used it in the context correctly or not.
Mhm.
Using it catches you a dent in your forehead, right?
It's just a dent in your forehead.
Um, and I really do think the comparison to a curse word, right? It's knowing your audience, as with everything, is very important. And I think communication in general, you set cursing or this word, this topic aside. Anybody listening to this, you and I talking about it, we all know somebody who uses words that they don't understand the word they're using, and they use it
Facts.
wrong, and we all look at them like that fucking idiot, right?
Fucking idiot.
They and I'm just talking about day-to-day language, right?
Mhm.
Uh, pet peeve, people talking about, oh yeah, I was going to conversate with somebody. No, you weren't, you moron. You're going to
Yeah.
converse, right? You
Right.
don't
Right.
conversate. That's not a word. You're going to converse. but
Exactly.
but you want to stay. Oh, we were conversating. I give you a dent in the forehead for not understanding the English language, right?
Right.
It we is it a matter of, and again, I think this is a bigger discussion than you and I just think the fact that we can talk about it is,
Mhm.
and that's part of what the problem with a lot of issues in this country are, is people don't have honest discussions about it.
Right.
But with this discussion again, and it may be an exercise that we want to do, because one of my son's roommates is one of his best friends since elementary school. um I won't say his name here, but he is a young black man. So it might be interesting to have the dichotomy of the two of us and the two of them having this discussion. And is there a difference in the way that they perceive it versus how you and I perceive and talk about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they grew up together. And again, if they grew up together and they grew up in that culture, they grew up in the hip hop culture, they grew up listening to the music, they grew up talking to each other in that way. They might be in that house, in their place, wherever they are, throwing the word around all day long, and we never know. And in the street, they might not do it as much because everybody is not going to be as receptive of hearing it from. And sometimes there are people you can, I can walk you into a circle and be like, yo, what up, y'all? This is my man Dave. This is my nigga right here. You know what I'm saying? And then after I do that, it might be cool. Now, Dave might never throw the word nigga out. Over time could go on. And then one day, Dave might be like, oh, yo, this nigga's crazy. And everybody gonna look. But they so cool with Dave at this point. It's like, I knew he said that shit, and everybody laughed, and it is what it is. Dave ain't gonna use the word every day, but once it might slip out. And then we figure out, okay, so Dave, I got a Hawaiian friend of mine. Well, let me not say Hawaiian because this motherfucker gets so mad when I say Hawaiian. He's Samoan, Samoa. He's from, you got to say it. He's one of the Rock's cousins. And that's what I tell him every day. And he says that they're all kind of related, but they don't use it. But they're all like the Samoan people be like, yeah, they all related. So when I say, yo, you the Rock cousin, he be like, hey man, fuck you. I'll be like, yeah, whatever. But anyway, one day we're sitting there, we're having conversation, we're conversing, and we're going we're going back and forth, and then he slipped up and he was like, man, this nigga. And I looked and I was like, he was like, oh shit. But we laughed because I'm like, man, go ahead, man, keep on with the story. Don't stop. Like, I understand it. You're a person of color. Things have happened to you. Like, it's different. It really is different. There's a bond there. So yeah, if your son and his roommate are cool, like really, really cool, like brothers cool, they grew up since elementary school, they now live together as boys, like, yeah, they probably in there throwing the word around all day. And they're cool with it with each other. If I don't know you, if I haven't known you for a while, there's no way I'm taking that word with any type of love meaning off of our first encounter. So you really, there's a lot of people that still got to check themselves. The culture is the culture, but the thing about it is, like, the hip hop culture is a black culture. Heavy metal is a white culture. Let's just call it what it is. That's heavy metal. But guess what? I knew about Metallica. I knew about Guns N' Roses. I knew about Def Leppard. I knew about all of that stuff growing up, you know. But I didn't walk around wearing Metallica shirts and all of that. I didn't walk around throwing up the little horn signs and rocking out like that wasn't me. But I knew the music was there, certain songs I could listen to, but it wasn't me. I wasn't out doing all of that. My boys back in the day, the white boys that I knew back in the day, they weren't really listening to hip hop. That didn't start until later on in the hip hop era, like the late 80s, early 90s, maybe, when they started listening and catching on to them songs. But they wasn't listening to hip hop when it first dropped. So there was a really even divide. And again, I could have friends that we were cool all day long, play baseball together, dodgeball together, all outside. But when they got mad and they wanted to get mad at one of us, they threw the word out there. And then we was boys up until then. Now we got to fight. Now we definitely got to fight because that's what it was back in the day. It's like, oh yeah, okay, we fighting and get it out the way. So it's just different. It can be better. I pray for it to get better, but it's just different. It's different. It's like a lot of women, young women, like now, watch, young women are walking around allowing themselves to be called bitches all day long. All day long. Oh, that's my bitch. Like you just said a minute ago. If you said it in the way of, yeah, that's my bitch right there. They saying it like you don't have to put any extra words anywhere. Yeah, that's my bitch. This is a relationship. Yeah, this is my bitch. And I'm like, nah, you can't really do it like that because the culture is different. It's like a big, it's an even line of division, but some of them are so accepting to certain words, and it's like, nah, we're not gonna accept those words. So Hold on a second, brother.
No.
Told you when I'm in Florida, you know how I go down. Yes, man. To see me? Yes. All right. I'll be here. I will be here. I'm taking the car. I know. I will be here. You're taking the car. Like, what? Go for it. But yeah, so again, it's like there's things that we wouldn't do. You wouldn't call your wife, your bitch to
No.
her like that. If you were, tight, you might think this bitch, but you're not gonna say it. But there's some out here that straight up, that's the word. Like that's the word. They're gonna throw that word out. They're gonna use that word. It's going to be their word of choice. And unfortunately, like I said, unless they make it a law to get rid of the word nigga, they're not gonna get rid of the word nigga. It's just gonna be about how we accept the word, how we embrace it. And right now, the the only not to sound racist, but again, like you said, everybody got a little bit of racism in them. The only people that can green light the use of that word is black people.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. No,
The
no
only
question.
That's the only way they can be ever be green lighted. Black people have to give you a green light in order for you to use that word without catching a dent in your forehead.
And
Because
and I think that happens, right? You talked about that.
Mhm.
Your Samoan friend that you greenlit it. He
Yeah,
right clearly he was already using it, but it was being used and greenlit in and around other people. And I think
right.
you it probably is in I probably isn't the right word. I guarantee that it has been greenlit within social circles. That
Hmm.
there are, again, I don't, even if you were to look at me and go, Dave, it's cool, you can use that word around me, it's not part of my vernacular anymore. And
Right.
and do not think anybody listening that again, a 50-year-old white guy has never used a version of that word. I grew up at the same time you did. I have used that word to spark a reaction as a kid because I was mad
Hmm.
and I knew it would get the reaction. I
Hmm.
and so I'm not trying to say I've never done it because that it would be a bald-faced blatant lie. I do
Right.
not at this stage in my life or any stage as a mature adult feel that even with the past it's not part of how I communicate,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that is not I am some eloquent guy because I cuss like a sailor, right? You know me long enough to know I
Absolutely.
like the word fuck. I use it as an adjective, a verb, a noun. It's, uh, but
Absolutely.
I do think the past is there. I think what eventually we're going to arrive at, and I do think generationally there will be different opinions on how far away from that arrival we are.
Hmm.
Is it is no longer a social circle pass, it is a societal pass
Hmm.
that there will be a generation of black people that go to steal the George Bush line, mission accomplished,
Mission accomplished.
right? And
Yeah.
the word now is everything that you laid out as it's used within your culture. And
Hmm.
and I think the fact that hopefully the fact that there is social circle passes on it is showing us growing toward that. And again, finding ways to take a negative and hopefully spin it to some good news and show some light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And so I don't know. I
Yeah.
think, this has been, I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was an interesting topic to talk about the perception of it. And I didn't even give consideration to let's get generations behind us. And we happen to have access to be able to
Yeah.
bring two in
Yeah.
and get some commentary and some feedback on it. Because,
Yeah.
you talked about people only our age or older talking about slavery.
Right.
If people are going to clip this and take it out of
Oh,
context,
oh,
but
all day.
I,
All day.
maybe that's not a bad thing because when
It's
we
not.
talk about it or the generations in front of us talk about it, it's so divisive. And again, it was what, 200 years ago, 100 years
Yeah,
ago. Eh,
the thing is, if there's no growth from it, then not talking about it is dangerous because if you didn't grow from it, if nobody learned from the mistakes of it, then there was no lesson learned. We never talked about it again. So it's like it never happened. We're not saying that it never happened. We're saying, hey, it happened. We learned lessons from it and we have moved forward in a more positive light, in a more positive manner to be better people because of the wrongs that we did back in the day. But if nobody ever says that, if nobody says, if you, we got people that say, you can't blame me for what my people did. But if you act in the same nature as those people did, you just cannot hold that person on your property and make them work for free. If you can't do that, but you still act and speak as those people, then we haven't learned anything. You got to be able to put that whole thing to bed, saying it was wrong. Not, yeah, well, my people built this country. No, no, this country was built off of slave labor. Now, you might have had some people that were a part of helping to build, but this country was built off of slave labor. Washington, D.C., the White House was built with slave hands. So it's like there's certain things that you have to, in retrospect, look at from in the past and say, that happened. We were wrong. As a country, we were wrong. We did some things wrong. This conversation comes up a lot and everybody disregards it. But if you promise people reparations, why didn't they get it? That's just my question. If you promised certain people reparations, why didn't they get it? And then you wonder why they're always upset when they see other people come right into the country and get everything that you promised them. The silence of that right there is so loud because it's like that's it rings true. You got people that are upset, people that are frustrated because you've done their people wrong. My generation, I'm not going to say I wasn't done wrong. I wasn't done as wrong as people prior to me. I went to a junior high school where, oh, they wanted to riot. They wrote on the junior high school doors, niggers go home. ERS, not nigga, no, niggers go home on my junior high school door. What did that cause? The police outside for a week, white kids standing on one side of the street, black kids standing on the other for a week, people coming from different neighborhoods to make sure that they friends and family members made it home safe. So you got piles of people, black on one side of the street, white on the, well, actually, let's call it what it was. Black, Spanish, anybody that wasn't white that and wasn't cool with those people, they walked on the other side of the street and we walked on one side and everybody walked in a direction because things were going to spark off. We got to get to a point where, again, we say to each other, hey, that was wrong. Like, we have to be able to say that was wrong. We got to get some of these old as nigger politicians that we have in office out of office because some of them have been around too damn long and they need to go, but people don't vote enough to get rid of these bastards. And they sit in there and they perpetuate a system that keeps the divide there. Like, this country would be so much better if we were really just peaceful and happy and not to say hand in hand, but that's what you want. Like, that's what love is really about. That's what was created for us to be able to go forth and do. But we have a divide, and the divide happened and continue to happen because we got a bunch of racists in office. I'm not saying everybody in office is racist, but there are a bunch of racists in office that like to continue a system, perpetuate the system, and keep the divide there. So, you
No,
know,
I completely agree that there are people that are. I think they recognize you can't make the divide bigger, but they want to see the divide stay.
right, exactly, exactly,
Conversely,
exactly.
conversely though, I think your statement about I didn't have it as bad as the generation before me, and it probably be a safe statement to say that somebody younger than you would make that same statement, right? I didn't have it
Facts.
as bad. Actually says that generally speaking,
It's getting better.
we did learn, right?
Right. Hmm.
We're not quick to change, but we
No.
did learn. And the fact that you're able to say, I didn't have it as bad as those who came before me, and the people behind you are able to say, I didn't have it as bad as Sean, that shows the progress that the divide is shrinking. It's not shrinking fast enough, and it's not gone. I think your point is valid. There is still a divide, but
Hmm.
I don't think we can sit here and say that slavery or racial tensions, any the civil rights movement, that none of that was learned from. I
No.
I think your point of, and selfless plug, will I'll link it at the end of this when it goes up on YouTube, but the episode Left, Right, and Center, where I talk about term limits and politicians that have been around way too long. You know,
Hmm.
the fact that our sitting president has been a politician longer than I've been alive, right?
Facts.
He's been in Washington longer than I've been alive,
Facts.
and he's the guy making the decisions. Don't let the fact that he has a black vice president fool you. This
No.
is a
Yeah.
dude that at his prime was in the heat of the civil rights movement, and go back and look at his record. He wasn't the most civil rights friendly during that period of time. That
No.
So yeah, I do think that we have the wrong people setting the tone. That our young people need to figure out that their voice needs to go to something more productive than Twitter or Instagram or
Right.
TikTok,
TikTok. Right.
right?
Right.
And because I do think that they would look at it and say, I didn't have it as bad as Sean,
Right.
right?
You're right.
And
You're right.
let's keep what, I don't necessarily agree with all our politics, but I think AOC is probably a good example of what we're talking about here. A
Hmm.
younger generation person that found her voice and is trying to use it to promote the social issues she believes in. That,
Correct.
you know, that's what we need more of, less of this I'm going to sit around and I'm going to catch a clip and try to be social media famous. Make an impact, use your voice for the right thing, and it has to. I think on a number of issues, the people who are the mouthpiece for issues are so disconnected from the reality of the issue at this point that,
Hmm.
since the overarching theme of this has been kind of racial relations and the use of a word, the fact that Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are still at least
Still.
at least actively involved in the representation of the black community,
Hmm.
and not saying they don't have a place and that their experiences aren't valuable, but they're still the go-tos for a lot of outlets to get information, and they speak for, and they're not representative of what is
This
the generations
today.
behind them, right? It's
Today. Right. 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 So, but see, that's the thing. So now I was just telling my so I went to a wedding today. My niece got married, and for the majority,
congratulations.
thank you. The majority of it is a lot of those. I don't want to say kids, but I've seen them when I knew them when they were born. I was there when they were born. So my niece is 28 years old. I'm looking at her bridesmaids. I knew all of them before they could speak their first word. I'm looking at all of these kids here and I'm talking to them because they're 18 going to college, 24, 25, 27, all these ages. And I'm like, damn, I'm old. But when I look at it, it's like, I'm explaining to them certain things, and I started talking to one of them about Ben Crump. Ben Crump is like the Martin Luther King of today that Martin Luther King was back in the day. He's a lawyer. He's out here fighting the fight for all injustice on all people of color and anybody who really wants him to be their lawyer. Anything that's injustice and not justified, Ben Crump is definitely stepping up and he's going ahead with the fight. But a lot of people don't know who Ben Crump is. When I ask them, do you know who Ben Crump is? No, they have no clue. So we're trying to school people on these new leaders that we actually do have that's still out here fighting the good fight. Now, have we been fighting the good fight for a very long time? Yes, we have. And what is the saying? The fight ain't over till the fat lady sing. I gotta this bitch need to hurry up. I need this fat woman. She she gotta hurry up and start singing. Like, she gotta yodel, clear her throat, whatever she me, whatever she gotta do. The fight is still happening. So yeah, Jesse and Al Sharpton, they're still showing up because people still recognize them. But there are some new leaders out there that are going after it and still trying to get things done. And we need them. And we need some good leaders that are on all sides, all parts of the color spectrum, all parts of the ethnicity spectrum. We need good leaders to go out here and represent to try to make it so it doesn't have to be a good fight for the rest of our lives. We got to get this fight to a point where these people have finally come together and they have made amends on what has gone down and said, we're here to start and create real change. So I give Jesse and Al Sharpton their credit. I also got some shit that they've done over the years that I've seen in these fights that makes me say, don't ever call these motherfuckers when something go down. I don't want to see them. I definitely have those. You was there when Martin Luther King got killed, and next thing you know, you at the forefront. What the fuck has changed? So it's a lot of stuff that happens, but we just want to let everybody know that it's gonna take. What's the saying? It takes a village.
Yep.
We are the village. We are the village. It takes all of us that live in this village that we call Earth. It takes all of us to just start standing up for injustice. It takes us to start standing up for equal rights. It starts somewhere and it has to start. Otherwise, we're going to continue to go down this path where we're having these conversations day in and day out, no change. And again, change is a beautiful thing. Dave just told everybody on here how he changed. He said, yeah, back in the day, if I was angry, yeah, I said the shit to get a fucking reaction because I was ready to fight. He has changed. He's 50 years old now. It's not part of his vocabulary anymore. He doesn't throw that word out. He doesn't think about using it. And all of the times that me and Dave have had conversation, all of the times that we have conversed, and all the times that we spoke with each other, Dave has never once looked like he wanted to say the word nigga. It never even came out. Now I've hung around some people where the shit they was close, and but they saw that they saw your hand ball up because it was like, oh shit, dent. I'm about to get this dent in my fucking forehead. Let me chill. We used to play a game with people like where we would have songs playing and we'd be in a mixed crowd, black people, white people, and we'd be having Biggie playing because Biggie always had the word nigga in a song. And then we turn off the music at the part where he would say the word nigga, see how many people got quiet. And people would get quiet. And we'd be like, wait a minute, you were singing the hell out of this song until that word, and we cut it off to see if you go, but they're like, nah, I know where the fuck I'm at. I'm good. We're like, okay, so you say it in your house when you're listening to the song, but you're not respect. Let me buy you a drink, sir, ma'am, whoever the fuck you are. It's a respect thing as well. So, I mean, we've touched a lot of it, and it's still a whole bunch more. But I think what we need to do is bring some people in, like we said, the next time that we get into this topic, I definitely would like to bring in some younger generation. And I mean, if we can find a couple of old heads that, either on our page a little bit older, because we can't get too old, but I mean, we got a couple of old people we might be able to get. Then we can get a little roundtable discussion, talk about the word, see what we get.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out the logistics on how we're gonna bring old people into this, because that may have to be we sit down and do an interview and then suck that footage in, because I don't want to try the whole let's get them on and I'm providing tech support to a 70-year-old. Baby, I don't understand. What button
Hey,
do I push?
I got one right now that if I sit them down and say, "Hey, just sit there and talk, don't touch shit." That's all you would see the whole time. Well, how do I do this here? Why can't I see myself the way I see him? Yeah, so yeah, we could just set it up, round table, mics, cameras. Nobody has to touch anything but a microphone. If
Yeah.
they want to touch it, they don't even have to touch the mic. But I think that would be a great discussion, man, because we got to start somewhere. We got to start somewhere. And I mean, I know we've started with us, but we've been doing this for years now, just having these types of discussions. So they don't really, I'm not saying they don't affect me and you as much anymore, because we do get a lot of good information from them. But I think it's time that we kind of try to use a platform to try to reach some more people and see
Yeah.
if we can get more people involved in this discussion.
Yeah, and and hopefully there are more people like us that are having these types of conversations.
Absolutely.
I think the problem is that the conversations happen in an office or over a phone. We're not having public discussions about this, and
Right.
talking about it in this forum, I think is the intent behind why we wanted to talk about this. Is it is public now, right? This is
Yeah.
not you and I in an office. This is not two people having a phone conversation. I mean, granted, it's two people having a phone
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we're going
Yeah.
to put
But
it out there
everybody
for the
can see.
world to see, or what little
Exactly.
piece of the world that we get to touch. It,
Right.
these are historically have been conversations that are sensitive and they're delicate. And I think because people are afraid of how the other side is going to react. Oh, if I say, "Hey, Sean, have we reached a point where you've changed the meaning of the word?" Sean's going to get mad and not like me anymore. Uh, no, Sean's going
No.
to hear my conversation and he's going to give me his feedback and I'm going to accept it and we're going to
Right.
move on. But
Right.
if there can't be fear about having the conversation. You have to have mature parties on both sides to have a conversation like that. But
Right.
it it's essential to be able to move forward, and you said it best that we're just getting started on this, because it's more than just about the words, man. It's
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
more than about the words.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, this was a good one.
Yeah,
Definitely was a good one. I could appreciate this conversation, and I'm definitely looking forward to the next one on it. I know it's not going to be next week because we got some things to put together to get some people with it, but I definitely want to make it happen.
there you go.
Definitely want to make it happen.
So I think this one, we went a little bit longer, but I think I may put this one up pretty much unedited. I don't know that we
Yeah, I
wanted.
guess I got one little turnaround.
Yeah,
That's all I had in this one. So I feel like that's part of the show at this point. It
yeah. I
is
mean,
what
might
it
as well
is.
leave that one in there. We addressed it.
Yeah, yeah, it is what it is.
So
This is where we are.
as always, I enjoy these types of conversations when you and I have them. And I have a rec for you this week.
What you got?
999.
Oh man, definitely. See, definitely.
Ant-
Definitely. My boy was in it.
Anthony
My,
Mackie and Woody Harrelson. I think
uh-huh.
that's what, 5, 6 years old now, but
No, 999 is older than that.
maybe
Cause you
seven.
remember, you
2016.
remember the, you remember the little dude that they chased through the projects. The little dude,
Uh huh.
the little tattoo dude with the
Yeah.
with the beard.
Uh,
It's my homeboy. He used to do security at nightclubs in VA for years. That's
Nice.
my man Carlos, man. So yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, but I
absolutely.
greatly enjoyed watching that. Anthony Mackie, Woody Harrelson. I'll slaughter a dude's name that plays Michael. You'd know him if you saw him. I'm not even going to try to say his name. It's streaming on Max.
Bet I'm gonna go watch it again just cause. I'm gonna go
Uh,
look at it again just cause.
well, there it is.
I'm trying to
My brother, I appreciate you making the time after a
always,
wedding.
man, Always. Oh yeah, good job. Congratulations to my niece, Jasmine, and Alan, her new husband. Well, I go ahead and spill the beans. They've been married. We just did the ceremony for you bastards that didn't get the invite. Might as well go ahead and put it out there. But I love my niece, man. She gave me one of the realest. I'm ending with this right here. My niece only invited people to her wedding that she said when she thought about them, it made her smile. And she really meant that. Like there's some people that were tight because they didn't get an invite. But she said it. She said, Unc, I'm only inviting people. And when I think about them, I smile on the inside. They bring some type of joy to me. I was like, you know what? That's kind of dope. Because if we all did that, we might be in a better place. So shout outs to my niece, man. 28 years old. Congrats.
So,
Love you.
Alan and Sean's niece, congratulations. And Sean's niece, your wedding day is your day, so to only invite people that make you smile, props to you for recognizing what the day is. I think too often the brides and grooms get pressured into it being a day about all the other people. I respect the hell out of the fact that you went with the only people that get to come are people I smile when I think about. So I applaud you and
Absolutely.
congratulations.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm up out of here, man. That's a good one for me. My brother, I'll holler at you next week.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Until then, that's it. You
We're
be
out.
easy, bro.
See ya. Bye.
Go.